And we are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Welcome to a Saturday night show on the Masterpiece Shit Piece channel. It's been a while since we've done anything. Tonight we're going to go ahead and cover the Snyder Cut.
Woo!
We've got some people here to talk about things, baby. So, Sam, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the fellas?
Yo, you can find me on Instagram at InstaSam89 and then Sam Meet in the groups in here whenever I am here. I'm so used to saying here every Friday night. I'm just gonna be here when I'm here.
That's right.
Thanks for having me on, dude.
Thank you for being here, sir.
Hey, Sam, you want to know something cool? Like I just like pulled up YouTube and this like we're actually broadcasting. Isn't that something? Oh my god, things work. I'm sorry. My bad.
I didn't even know if
hi, I'm Russ the Muss, and I'm
Comments
just
of Russ
happy
the
to
Muss
be.
do not reflect the views of Masterpiece Theater.
Right away, Nick's going, Jesus Christ, I should have rethought this thing already. I got it. I'm here to discuss the Snyder Cut, which I haven't seen yet. So
you haven't
this
seen.
should be fun. I'm going to be just as surprised as the rest of you are. Yeah. As my wife said, it's going to be a shiny new turd. Hi. Hey.
Oh, all right. The man, the myth, the poppy. What's up, Jose?
Yo, what is up, my dudes? Harrican BX on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You could catch me on Monday and Tuesday nights on the Realm of Collectors YouTube channel, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on ETR and BTM, respectively, Mondays and Tuesdays. And Verbally Challenged for Harrican BX on all audio platforms. Thanks for having me tonight, guys. Saturday night. We're gonna have a good
Thank
time.
you for being here, sir.
Well,
Yes,
dude,
sir.
Russ is, I guess his internet went out again, but Jose, I don't know if you've ever noticed, me and Nick have spent a lot of time online with Russ. He has his webcam mounted on top of his monitor, and every once in a blue moon it would drop down and you would just see like Russ's camera just like pull back and it was like, boom, and then like you would just see like Russ and like his big head and like his stupid arm like trying to like fish his webcam out from behind his computer. He's a mess, man. He's a mess, but I love that dude.
Oh, yeah, man. Good having people to talk nerdy shit with.
Yeah, man.
I enjoyed talking about this on The Nerds Have Spoken, with Jason.
Yeah, that was a
and
good
his crew.
episode.
Mm-hmm.
I got a little social justice warrior-y.
I haven't listened yet.
Yeah.
I saw you were on the latest episode, and I got to discuss it with a few heads myself on my thing too. But I'm ready, man. I'm ready. Like I have my feelings, and since discussing it the last time, I've kind of gone back in, and I'm not gonna say I've watched it, beginning to end, but I'm sort of skimmed through, and I'm checking out the parts that I like the most, and dude, it's it's a different type of film.
Yeah, definitely. I think
your stomach's sexy.
I think the big thing is tonally it's different.
Like, I think what I'm trying to say is like, hey,
this version is a lot darker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think that you can see the different applications of humor.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
I think it was just kind of put in spots where, because I think in a movie like this, I feel like the comic relief should kind of just be that like relief. Like if you're in a tense moment, it's nice to kind of have something to break that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was done better here. And the characters didn't come off as I don't know, because like the Flash and Aquaman, I feel like we're a little bit just like toned down.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering, I think that's like that was intentional of like just the original. There he is, of just like the original
cell phone. See,
there you go.
like all that shit.
This is the way.
This is the way. Mm-hmm. Much
But
better.
I feel like maybe that's like it was toned down, but maybe it's like we're just so used to those two now. You know what I mean? Like Aquaman's had his own movie, and like we've seen the Flash and Justice League for like a few years now, so it's like Maybe we're just used to it, but tonally, because that was like my kind of like bottom floor for expectations. I was like, even if this is the exact same movie, it'll at least look better. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, wow.
You could take the 2017, like the Whedon cut. If you just change the color grading, like that would make it better, in my opinion. Like, I think just as personally, I appreciate visuals. And like there's like I'll watch a movie because I like the cinematographer. You know what I mean? So that's just like personal preference.
Yeah. Sam, but so for the original version, like Whedon, because listen, like I know that's a criticism, of these particular movies. Like I see chat winging them in the chats whenever.
I don't hate it though.
We sort of bring this up, like Snyder from Man of Steel, sort of started this DC extended universe on like and again, it's not just Snyder himself. Snyder's the director, but I think it was Goyer and Nolan. I think that wrote Steel that had like
Johns has been involved.
a little just a bit of a darker tone to the universe, where just in general, like a character like Superman, it seems to be a little bit brighter and more hopeful. And that was always kind of like the knock on the Snyder version, that it's like, this character is too dark and whatever. And that's sort of what you got like more here. So with the original version and them kind of changing the color palette to like make it a little bit more brighter, and maybe I always say marvelizing it a little bit, right? To add the humor and the bright colors and shit like that. So did you not think that was like a boon to the original version compared to? So
if it matched the tone of, if Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman were like that, then I would have been cool with it. Yeah. But to me, it was like we're going down this path, and I wasn't at the time crazy about BVS. It's that movie's grown on me a lot, and this makes me appreciate that more. Yeah. But then that was like, we're just gonna completely turn left, and I'm like, kind of like one of my criticisms with Star Wars Episode 9 was more so like, let's just stay on like this path that we seem to be on, instead of in the last movie kind of like jarring off one. And I'm glad you brought up the stuff about Man of Steel, because I think like just as far as context goes, that's something that people forget about, is like that came a year after The Dark Knight Rises. Chris Nolan was an executive producer, and there was like heavy talks of like these might be a shared universe, we don't know, and then they kind of said that they weren't going to be. So that type of superhero movie of Chris Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy like heavily influenced this, and that just appeals like to my tastes. Yeah. You know what I mean? There are definitely like huge criticisms I have. I think of all these three movies, I think Man of Steel is the one I have the hardest time with. But I think tonally I do like it, because it is kind of something different at this point. Yeah.
I don't disagree either. Like, it's just to kind of give that devil's advocate point of view, because I see where those complaints do come from. Like, I'm a fucking huge DC fan, Superman especially. Like, and he's not always had that reputation of being a badass superhero. He's always seen as that wholesome goody two shoes, and I like Batman and Punisher so much more because they kick ass type shit. You know what I'm saying? So, when you see a Superman film that's sort of done in that kind of vein, and trust me, like, I loved it, and I love the tone, like you brought up, of these movies just in general, because just very different from what Marvel does. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, these always just seem to have a little bit more of an adult tone to them. Like, there's always seems like there's a lot more consequences, you know what I'm saying, to the people and the heroes themselves in this universe and in the Marvel movies themselves. And listen, I enjoy both of them. I'm not saying one versus better than the other or whatever. No, I enjoy it all. You know what I'm saying?
I want people to get that at all. And what I like about now that we have this kind of trilogy done is that the things that happen in the movie before affect the things that happen in the next movie. Yeah. And I think looking at it as a whole, like, to me, it's like, it's a Superman story of this trilogy. He's kind of the crux of everything. Obviously, the first movie's about him. I think in BVS, I think Batman like comes back because of him, and that's a clear motivation. And that beginning montage where it's like it's the ending from Man of Steel, but just from like the ground floor, and you see what Bruce Wayne sees. Like, how could you not kind of understand why he sees Superman as a threat? And then in this movie, I loved it, like what they did with the mother boxes, explaining like, they've been awakened before, but they didn't do anything because Superman was here.
Yeah.
And like they didn't want that smoke. You know?
Yeah. See, like my thing about the mother box thing at the beginning, because they didn't explain it at that time, that they were scared of Superman, was like, okay, he's Kryptonian, you know, why is he affecting something from Apocalypse? You know, I had that issue, and then they had, you know, the line of exposition from Batman explaining it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a thing from the first version that was almost just like a throwaway, right? Like it wasn't.
I don't even know if they mentioned it. Yeah,
they mentioned it offhand when the League like gathered in the Batcave and they were discussing the mother box. And remember, the scene in the Justice League version was completely different than the Snyder version.
Yeah,
like,
you can tell by Ben Affleck's face.
Yeah, he was
the one where he looks like this. You can tell those are reshoots.
You could tell he stopped working out and he was fucking pounding drinks a little bit. You know? And so,
which, hey, I'm doing that shit right now, but you know,
but in that version,
pounding the drinks.
in that version, like he definitely was like, hey, like let's bring him back, and they had a discussion, and it was just more of like they were kind of just like guessing, oh, this is a power that we have, and we could maybe just bring Superman back. And in this version, it was just a lot more logical when Cyborg.
I like that idea about like when he calls it like the change machine and saying like anyone with a match. And then Russ, this is kind of how I explain like what the mother boxes do. They're like anyone with a match can like burn down a house, and like that matter's still there. It's just like they just it just turns to smoke and releases heat or whatever. But he's like, but nobody can take smoke and turn that back into a house. And like the mother boxes can do that. And that's how they kind of get the idea. And what I like about that exchange, that conversation they have is like that Batman's like, yeah, we need to do this. And I think that's a lot of that is like his guilt for what happened in Batman versus Superman. Yeah. I think maybe he like feels a little bit responsible for Superman getting killed.
That was a theme in this movie, actually. Batman's, you know, remorse and, you know, feeling a responsibility for Superman's death that was dealt with a lot better in this version than it was in the Whedon cut.
Yeah. Let me ask you, did they handle Cyborg better?
Oh, he was so much better, dude. Cyborg, Flash were, and even Aquaman. You know, at that time, if we would have gotten this version at that time, remember, this would have been an introduction to those three characters. You know,
right?
And Flash.
That's where I think the runtime is kind of necessary. Like there are a few things here and there that I would have cut, but Russ, the stuff they do with Cyborg, like you watch it in this, and you like. You're like, how did they leave this on the cutting room floor? Like, it's so fucking good. And it's like something that Zack Snyder, he did this at the beginning of 300, where he kind of just gives like the backstory of Leonidas. He did it in The Watchmen, where he, like the Dr. Manhattan sequence, and he did it with Cyborg, where like that dude does a montage like that better than anybody as far as I'm concerned. And like in 5 minutes, like you get Cyborg, you get his mom, his dad, you get his motivations, you get his origin story, you get where he is now, and it's just laid out so quickly and concisely. And I don't think anyone does that better than Snyder.
That's one of the big gripes I had about the original cut, is that I felt like they kind of really bypassed a lot of about Cyborg and just how he came about. They kind of give you this real short explanation. And I just felt like it didn't really give a proper. He didn't get a proper, like, you know, introduction on how he came about. It was, he's here, you know. And I didn't. It's almost like it felt rushed. It felt like they rushed through that and just skipped a whole bunch of stuff, you know.
I think the studio had a lot to do with that. And I think because we talked about this on the show before, like Ray Fisher's kind of beef with Warner Brothers and. Kind of being upset about, you know, this stuff being left out. And like, after seeing this, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it.
Like, right. Well, there you go.
Right to be upset. But that, and then he said that, because like he was said that like they had said racist stuff, you know, but as it turns out, they were like, we don't want, like, we can't, like, they saw that stuff or like that story with Cyborg, and they're like, well, we can't have this movie be about like an angry black guy, which is racist. Like, if you're gonna make it about his race, then it's racist.
That's
If they said we can't have an angry kid, then that would be different.
Right.
They like explicitly made it about race.
It's so ridiculous. And Russ, like, you used the right word. Like, rushed is the word when you see this version that expands his character and his story in such a way, and then you compare it to what we got in the original. And even in the original, I thought Cyborg Ray Fisher was one of those bright spots, like where it was
I liked him.
I wish we could have gotten a little bit more of this, because even the little bit they gave him in that original version, he fucking killed it. And then here you see how much even more he kills it, and it was like, yo, what the fuck did they do? Like, how did they even chop all that out? Like, it was crazy.
Yeah, you know, wasted opportunities, man. They did the same thing to Jared Leto. There was so much extra Joker footage left out of the Suicide Squad movie.
I would
Leto, Leto was pissed off about it, which I don't blame him. Yeah. You know, it was, you do all this work, and then you saw the Suicide Squad movie we got. I felt like I kind of felt like that movie was rushed in a lot of ways too. They skipped a whole bunch of shit. Zoom, you know, it's like, God damn, guys.
I think Sam just lost power.
That's one of those things that kill me, man. Like, because it's like, all right, we're getting a fucking second Suicide Squad movie, but I can't get a fucking second Man of Steel. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Right,
and I think it's just certain characters, like a Harley Quinn, and we got that horrible Birds of Prey. You know, you got characters that are popular, like a character like her, and my brother said it when we discussed it on the Verbally Challenge. He's like, yo, it's a straight up cash grab from the studio. Like, he's like, that's why you don't have another Man of Steel, but they're gonna try to capitalize on the popularity of Harley Quinn, and
they are
put her eye candy, and I'm
just like, the truth.
But it's just like, oh man, like, then to me, like, that sucks, you know what I'm saying? But to be able to get like this version of Justice League, which is what we should have gotten before. Like, I honestly can't see like how the studio couldn't have just cut this fucking version down to a manageable 3 hours and been like, let's do it. And I just think they were shook off BVS. You had those Nolan Batman films, right, that made a fucking $1 billion, and it's Batman on his own. And then they give us a BVS where it probably makes what, 700, 800 million, and the studio got shook. They got shook. That's why they I think they turned it all around. And to me, it's fucking mind-boggling, because to see what we got and then to see this, and it's like, how did they think that was better than this? Like, what I'm saying? Because I heard that they supposedly screened Snyder's original version and it was unwatchable. And I'm like, and seeing what we got, I'm like, how did we get that other version? Like, compared to this, that's unwatchable. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you had the story here. And they kind of took it all out. Like, again, I get it. Maybe they just wanted to make a manageable 2-hour film. But to me, it was like they bastardized Justice League like they did BVS. If you see BVS extended, that extra half an hour, 40 minutes is the actual story that you didn't get in the theatrical version. You know what I'm saying?
I haven't seen the extended version, but I've been told by people it makes the movie a lot better.
It really does.
Yeah.
A lot of people talk about like added footage adding a lot to a movie. This is one of those cases where like it actually really does.
Yeah.
Both obviously both with the Snyder Cut and BVS.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you guys about Jared Leto. One of the things Anna's excited. She did say she's excited to see about the Snyder Cut, is she wants to see how they pulled off what they did with Jared. She loves Jared Leto as the Joker, so. About that, but she wants to see she wants to see what they did with him in it. And I said, well, I heard it was a dream sequence. That's what I heard.
Well,
that he's in, but I don't know.
A nightmare. It's the whole thing where they had that nightmare sequence where Batman was in the trench coat, got ganked up by the thugs, and Superman flew in.
Right.
Okay. This is seems to be almost like a prequel scene to that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the Joker's there, and him and Ben Affleck interact. Joe Manganiello's there as Deathstroke.
Mm-hmm. You had Mira, you had Flash, you had Cyborg. So they sort of just expanded what they did in BVS, which, again, like, I know some people had complaints about BVS, and especially if you watch the theatrical version, like, I get it, I fucking get it. Because, again, the extended edition is where they sort of had most of the story that would have made the theatrical version make sense in a way, would have made it flow a little bit better. But that nightmare scene you got in BVS, and then you see the Flash, and he's, calling the Batman, Lois Lane's the key, and everybody was confused as fuck, because they're like, is that supposed to be the Flash? Like, he doesn't look like the Flash. He's got his mustache.
Right.
Looks like he's wearing armor. In this scene, you see that version of the Flash and you get context through their dialogue where, you know, Joker and Batman were having a dialogue back and forth, but they're talking about their plan to fix that fucking their planet, to fix that timeline. You know what I'm saying? So you could see their plan is to fucking send the Flash back in time and save Lois or do whatever, just through the context of the conversation. So then now you see this, and then you remember the scene from BVS, and then you're like, holy shit, like now it makes sense, where maybe you would have been confused as fuck back then. And then you get the Joss version of Justice League, which doesn't follow up on any of that. So then you're left wondering, like, what was the point? Like, why did they even have that? Like, you know, so now when you see this version, you're like, okay, I get it now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Maybe overall it wasn't needed, because now if they don't continue this, it's like, okay, that was just fan service. Like, you didn't need that in there. But now it basically makes BVS make a lot more sense overall as a whole. And you could see the vision that he was going for from that movie into this one. You know,
so it sounds like he did a good job in making sure it couldn't see. One of the problems I had with Justice League movie 2 was I felt like we didn't get enough connection to Batman versus Superman. I felt like we knew what happened, but we didn't get enough explained to us about what went on in that movie in Justice League. I felt like there was like a lack of, like you said, it does feel like they ended this movie and they started this movie and it just said, well, any connections that you make, good for you, but we're not going to make it, you know, we're not going to stress to make them. And it sounds like that's what he did here, is he really made an effort to explain some shit in Batman versus Superman.
That was kind of a thing throughout the movie too. That was a little bit jarring, is that like you could tell that they used some of the reshoots that they did to like fill in the story that he didn't get the chance to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like almost all the lines of exposition, like Batman talking about the mother boxes and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
What was the other one? There was
I think a lot of the Darkseid stuff, to me, like even though he was originally intended to be that sort of background major big bad behind Steppenwolf, I think he was fleshed out a lot more in these reshoots, like and being able to kind of finish up the special effects and finish the story. Yeah. I think they fleshed out that aspect a little bit more, you know, with Darkseid.
Let's talk about the special effects.
You know what? For the most part, like I said, I thought they were good, but like there are a certain sequences, and to me, I just feel like it's the Darkseid scenes when you're seeing them kind of like up close. Like to me, and I could be wrong, but I think that's probably like maybe the newer things that they were trying to shoot or develop in the special effects, and maybe they just didn't have enough time or just didn't have enough care as some of those original shots from the movie that you could clearly recognize we got in the Joss version, but they were just a lot different here, you know. So
I have problems with the technical parts of the special effects.
Mm-hmm.
Like the characters like Steppenwolf and Darkseid don't seem to have the weight that they should. You know what I'm saying? Like when Steppenwolf drops 5 stories, you know, and survives, you get boom, pip, 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 pip. You know what I'm saying? You don't get that second big bounce, you know, you don't get really a feel, like it doesn't seem realistic.
Yeah, I could see what you're saying. Even though I
thought same thing with Darkseid
to me, especially, like I said, like his CGI. There was like, I think the scene when they were reviving Superman and Cyborg had the vision. Like I thought that scene when he was fighting in Atlantis, and it looked like he probably stabbed Arthur. It could have been Arthur, might have been somebody else, but it looked like
it was Arthur.
And he used the fucking Omega beams and killed another.
Yeah.
Hey, I thought like he looked good there. But then, like in a couple of
that
other
Amazon
scenes where they showed him, it was just like he looked a little off. Like I don't know. Like I just don't know. Like if they were,
he
just
looked like Apocalypse.
The special effects, you know.
Jose, do you think it was like this? Was it the CGI or was it just like the character design? I think the
CGI itself.
I think it's a problem because of Weta. That's the studio that they've been using for these.
It's crazy because they do a ton of shit. Like they do Lord of the Rings, they do that, they do like Dawn of the Planet, like the Planet of the Apes movies.
Yeah.
I think those, like the CGI on those movies is like by the third one, especially like impeccable. And that shit came out in like 2017. So it's weird because I think the same thing could be said about Batman versus Superman. It's like Doomsday, I think just looked bad.
Like he looks like a cave troll. They all have the same.
Yeah, they
look.
had that file already.
Steppenwolf looks like an orc. You know, like one of the white orcs from fucking Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Darkseid's a mess.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mind him. I thought at the old fight from like when he first came to Earth, I thought he looked really good there. But then I kind of thought that this was just on par with all the other DC stuff. So I don't think there was one scene when they were in the sewer and Steppenwolf was fighting Wonder Woman. I don't know if you guys touched on this, but like he says something like this one's mine or whatever, and like his face looks really bad there.
Yeah.
And that was the only thing that like took me out of it.
I think overall though, Steppenwolf's redesign looks a lot better than the original now.
I was going to ask you guys about that. I was going to ask. I heard they redid him a little bit. And I heard
he's redone. He's redone completely, like his whole character design, and to me, it looks a lot better. Like I just wish there was a little bit more of like a color breakup, like in the armor instead of it being that same monochrome.
Another thing because like coming after Doomsday, like the villain, and then like Ares too. Like I feel like at the end of all these movies, they fight like a big gray dude.
Yeah, exactly. I hated Ares that he had that mustache in Wonder Woman, like the scene.
Dude, well, he looked even when he was in this movie, like he's got like that red like goatee, and he's bald headed, and like I was watching it today, and like Zeus looks like an actual like person that would come from Greece, and I was like, Ares just looks like some fucking NASCAR dude from Kentucky.
Yo,
like he just looks like some redneck.
Yo, rip to the kid that played Walker in Ricky Bobby. Did you hear about that?
Well, how do?
Yeah, he killed himself. The kid that played one of the Ricky Bobby
that played one of Ricky Bobby's. Played one of his sons.
Yeah, that kid killed himself.
Oh no, that's terrible. Jesus Christ, man. Jesus, that's bad, dude. Oh, yeah. I guess.
Sorry,
those
you
kids
said
are grown
NASCAR, and
now.
it just triggered that for me.
Oh God.
Damn, that sucks.
Yeah, but going from the negatives that I had, I do really think that the character design and effects for Desaad were perfect.
I like the design for him. And it was weird because it's like they're huge departures from the like Darkseid looks straight up, and then like Steppenwolf, Nick, I think I don't know, like they didn't, because he was just a dude. He was always just like a dude,
basically, in the comics looks like Robin Hood.
Yeah, and the comics
like he's got like that.
Do that characters, they look human. They look human with costumes on. And here, like Steppenwolf, he looks like a fucking monster. He's like
Desaad did too.
You know, Desaad, he had like that.
I like it.
Look to him, like that real alien look. Where in the comics, he's just like a older, sort of hunched over dude. Like, you know, they look like
he looks like Igor or something.
Yeah. You know, so to me, those redesigns looked awesome. Steppenwolf definitely looked awesome. You caught a glimpse of Granny Goodness, and even her, she looked sort of.
She was really big.
Granny,
like super
Granny Goodness is in this.
She's just there. She doesn't say anything.
For a second.
Yeah,
oh,
you would have to know. You would have to know. To me, that's like
you
just gotta know.
Yeah, I got you. That's pretty wild. All right.
The other cameo that was there was Starro.
I didn't know.
Yeah, the thing that walked
the
on
starfishes.
Yeah.
What scene was he in? I didn't notice.
And when we pulled that Atlantean dude out of the ocean, and like the thing read his mind or whatever to find out where the mother box is, it like crawled up his face. Like little insect thing.
Well, that reminded me kind of it, but I don't think that's supposed to be like.
I don't think it is, Nick, because I counted today. He had 6 appendages instead of 5.
Yeah, Starro's supposed to be. It's like an actual, an organic,
like a starfish.
That's what it reminded me of. You know,
I thought that was a cool throw bone.
They like changed things for the movie, so that's why I figured as it being mechanical. You know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I thought
it serves the exact same function, you know. Goes on the face, just like Starro controls their minds, makes them talk.
You were talking about Steppenwolf's redesign. I think it works. The reason why that works the best for me is because I think it fixes his voice of like he has this kind of like growl of a voice, and I think that sounds weird coming from like someone who just looks like some dude. But I think when he comes up like someone who literally like looks like, you know, they're like an animal or something, I think the voice works better.
Yeah.
His face in the original, his face is fucking weird to me. I couldn't get past it.
Yeah.
Oh, what the fuck's wrong with that guy, man?
He looks a lot better. His redesign here is a lot better done. And again, I didn't mind that original because I mean it's like what we got. So I'm like, he doesn't look that terrible. He doesn't look that great though. Like but this one was just way better. It was way better.
Yeah, and then awesome, it sucks too coming off like the BVS extended cut where we saw him at the end of the movie. And I'm like, oh, this big monster thing with like actual horns looks awesome, and then like he comes in the movie and he catfished us.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Right. Yeah, fake this out.
That's a good
he's nothing like him.
He's like one of the White Walkers from Game of Thrones with a goofy helmet on.
See, and that was one of the things that in the BVS extended cut that was cut from the theatrical that would have made this movie and that dialogue that I mentioned that Cyborg said earlier would have made it make a lot more sense, because in the Justice League version he's just like, oh, you know, my dad, you know, he has this, it's called the change engine, and you know it's been dormant and it just happened to come back to, you know, it started to beep, you know, the night Superman died, and there was no explanation, like, you know, in here you got that reason at the very beginning that when
Batman was straight up like he was like they were afraid of him, you know.
Yeah, like that his death cry that just seemed to reverberate like around the world. What do you up the boxes? Like it's like hey, it's now that thread is gone, and it's what Lex said at the end of BVS, like the bell's been rung. Like you
can't unring it. Yeah,
you know they've heard it,
dude. It's so, and that's what I like about with this now is like it's from Man of Steel to this. It's one story. It's one story, and there's just so much payoff that we get, and even like with the new characters, like all the interactions by the end of them, like where Steppenwolf, or no, there's when Aquaman and Cyborg, like they fight Steppenwolf for a hot second by themselves at the end, like the final act, and like Aquaman's like round 2, he like looks at Cyborg, he's like round 2 because he knows like Cyborg wants to whip this dude's ass because he basically got his dad killed. You know what I mean? And that's like the stuff with Arthur in this was like when he's like the first one in the cave to be like how's Cyborg doing? You know what I mean? And Flash is like, I thought you didn't care. He's like, I never said I didn't care. You know, and he's like he just lost his dad. And then like I love like the first thing that Arthur says to like Volko and Mara at the end is like once everything's done, he's like, I need to go see my dad. You know what I mean? And I think it's cool. Yeah, it leads into Aquaman, but I think like it's one of those, I don't know, it's one of those things where it's like you see someone get laid off or get fired from their job and it makes you just like appreciate your job. You know what I mean? I think it's like something like that where like he saw this kid like lose his dad and he's like, I need to go see my dad. Like the first thing he does.
Let me
I didn't
ask
even
you
put that together. Now that you brought that up, I'm like, hey, even
I might be reading too much into it.
No, it leads into Aquaman, but that does make sense because
and he was like the most concerned about him in the cave. Like,
and Arthur said it right after fucking his dad died, and Steppenwolf got away with the box. He was like, "This was our fault." He was like, "We activated the box, and we killed his dad." He was like, "He's the reason. We're the reason he died." Like, you know what I'm saying? Off the cuff.
I think he felt that more than anyone else did.
Since Aquaman takes place after the Justice League movie, does this movie do a better job at leading into Aquaman?
Oh, I mean, dude, so much because you got Falco, that was the character, right? Like, so you saw the scene like where Arthur kind of goes to like I guess it's a spot somewhere near Atlantis where
like a statue of
the king, like with the trident and everything, and he's like just there in reverence, and Falco's like, hey, like you never sleep in the same place twice, but I always catch you here, and he's just like, I like it here, it's quiet, and he's talking to him, he's like, yo, you're the true king. You're supposed to be the king. And he's like, whatever, let Orm do it. And he's like, Orm's trying to start a war with the surface. Like he set up Aquaman.
Yeah, it's all
the dialogue, like it's there. Like the only that in the original version, and they set up Aquaman in his own.
The only thing that's like that's like
That's
weird
awesome,
about that
dude.
is like how they do like the bubbles to talk, because I
Yeah,
think at that
that
point
was
they hadn't like figured out like how are we gonna make these people talk underwater.
Yeah.
So like they had to like do the bubble, which by Aquaman they were just like, well,
They were just like, nah,
talk.
they just talk.
Yeah.
They just talk underwater.
But I like the effect of that. But through that scene, like he threw him the armor. He's like, this is your responsibility, and you can see Arthur still not like there yet. He's still not there with wanting to take up the mantle. But you see the beginning of it, and that's basically that seed for Aquaman in his own film, because he was still dealing with that in his own film, with having a kind of come to terms with his Atlantean origin,
and just like face that for the first time, like you know, he'd never faced
That's
that.
Cool, man.
I did like Aquaman a lot more in this movie than I did the original, because I was the dude that was like too much dude bro Aquaman, you know, and this version really toned that down.
Yeah, you still got it a little bit or whatever, but I mean, you just got again, to me, it's like the heart of like his story, his dilemma. You know, the cyborg, like I said, you just got so much more expansion with his story, with his origin, his abilities, his sort of reason for being, and to me, this movie redeemed this version of the Flash, because I do not like this characterization of Barry Allen, the way Ezra Miller plays this character. And I'm a big Flash fan. And to me, I'm like, that's not Barry Allen. To me, I'm like, that's not even early Barry Allen, where he's just trying to figure shit out. Because I'm like, he just is not like that. But
it's more consistent with Wally.
Yep. But in this version, I'm like, he was way less of a fucking pussy, and he was actually analytical with his mind, like you got to see his intelligence, and he was way more up on his powers and way more fucking further along as far as like his powers. Like where in the first one it was like he was still brand new and he didn't know what the fuck he was doing. You know,
Jose, that kind of makes me think of one thing that I did like about the Justice League that was a reshoot, was when Batman kind of like was like, go save one.
I'll save one person.
And that like that only worked for me just because I just like Batman in that role. You know what I mean? But that missing from this, I didn't miss it, but I did like it from that. But I enjoyed Barry. I thought like he's a kid and he's new to this shit, and I think they made that clear. But I mean, he like fucking does it all at the end. You know, and I like that the scene with him and Iris West, just as like a character introduction. I think it says enough about him. Like, here's his abilities. You know, he's using them for good, and you know, let's check those boxes. Like he's working at these stupid little jobs. You know,
and another thing like that I talked about on the Nerds Have Spoken was that like it seemed like some of the mannerisms were made like they kind of put two characters together. For like Alfred, I was talking about, you know, Alfred acts a lot more like Harold from the comics. Like Harold was the dude that used to take care of the cave right before nightfall.
Yeah, he used to with the gas and stuff like that too.
Yes, and so like Jeremy Irons Alfred is kind of disconcerting for me, like tone wise. It doesn't seem like Alfred. Same thing with Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf's motivations from like the source material are completely different than what we get in the movie. So like that was almost like Steppenwolf and Calabac together.
I thought that too. And seeing Desaad and Granny Goodness made me kind of think that Calabac was missing from this, which I didn't feel.
I totally forgot about Calabac. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's right when now that Nick brings it up, it almost seems like it is a merging of like those two characters from the comic.
That's a good point, man.
And then the other one was, you know, Barry and Wally.
Well, the whole I always, and it seems like they did it in the original Flash show in 1990. Like the character was Barry Allen, but that whole thing that, you know, because of how fast he runs, he needs to fucking eat a massive amount of calories and stuff like that. That's a Wally West show. You know what I'm saying, from the comic books, and they've always given that to Barry when they've adapted like to live action. So they've always sort of done a little meld there. And then of course, like Wally, you know, during his run, you know, when Mark Waid was writing the book back in the day, like he introduced a lot of new powers, and he introduced the concept of the Force itself, actually.
Yeah.
Back in the early 90s, and that's all. And Barry's basically appropriated all that, like when it comes to like the live action media, because I think with the exception of the Justice League cartoon, every time they've adapted the Flash into another media, it's always been Barry Allen, not Wally West usually, what I'm saying. So I just thought he was so much better, man. Like he came across so much better. I liked that he just seemed a little bit more experienced with his powers, and I liked that the scientific aspect of his character came through. Like again during that conversation when they're discussing the mother box.
I love that.
He played a role. He was like, it's like how matter can't be created or destroyed. It only changes. Like
it just disperses
an element to the fucking. It's like that's why you're there. You know what I'm saying? You're not just there.
Yeah.
To fucking run fast. Like, I'm saying? Like everybody brought not just their powers, but something else. Their life
and I do like too, even with their powers, is that like they each had a moment or several moments where they were like needed. Where one character can do this thing. You know what I mean? Like Aquaman saves him in the sewers. I thought that was cool. It was a cool use of his powers. And then like by the end, he's just like a dude that can fight Steppenwolf with Wonder Woman. You know what I mean? It's like that's kind of his value. Flash does what he does, like that you mentioned about like bringing Superman back, doing the shit at the end. Cyborg obviously serves a bunch of roles, and Batman
there you go
has his role of like kind of figuring all this shit out. And being the one kind of pushing everybody, which is hard, I think, when you have Batman in the Justice League. And I think it's the same for the cartoons, for the comics. Is like, what is he gonna do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think they did that well in this movie.
Yeah.
So did they keep that the same? Did they bring Superman back basically the same way, or did they change that a lot?
It's a completely different scene.
Yeah,
like
really?
The setup's different, and they explain it, and like it just seems to be more like it comes up more naturally.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like the thing, like they still like dropped the mother box in, then he still fights him, but then.
Okay, now when does he get the black suit?
It's after all that. So they almost follow the same line. They retrieve his body. They take him to the ship. They basically revive him the same way, but it's more fleshed out. It's more explained. The way the mother boxes and how they work were explained beforehand. It makes a lot more sense to why they would want to use it to bring Superman back. But what they change here is, again, what it was a major change in the Joss Whedon version, because again, like Whedon, he removed any sort of reference to what Zack Snyder was trying to build up with that nightmare sequence, right? So here they were trying to really push hard that like this apocalyptic technology, the mother boxes, is hostile. When Cyborg interfaced with the Kryptonian ship, like it's like he's saying it. He's like, "Yo, the ship is telling me like it doesn't want me to wake the box. Don't wake the box." Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I like that it's Batman that's like, oh, he's like, do it.
He's like, do it. We know it's a bad idea. Do it.
We're trying to fix it.
because their main goal was like, we need Superman. That was like the shit. Like, we need fucking Superman. We can't stop this shit without Superman. Like, so
but they knew it would wake up that last mother box. It had to wake up the last mother box to do it.
And that was the big stakes, because Steppenwolf already had the two other boxes. They're like, if this one wakes up and he takes it, it's game over. But they were willing to take the risk. And then in doing that, the major difference is that Cyborg got the vision of that nightmare future. Like if you do this, it's like this is what's gonna happen.
Yeah, this is what's gonna happen.
Oh shit! All right.
It showed the nightmare future coming to pass. Like you saw the Unity, so the Earth fucking destroyed. You saw fucking Superman. Like you had to assume he lost Lois because you just see a burning fucking body in his hand and he's crying. And
Darkseid kind of like turns him. We see Wonder Woman was dead at that point.
Wonder Woman was dead.
Fucking Kilowog from like the Green Lantern.
Yes, he was laid out in a bubble.
There was not even the Green Lantern Corps in this?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, there's two of them.
There's two of them. Yeah, I guess there's two of them.
What?
Yeah, in the Darkseid fight, there's a Green Lantern in there, and then you see Kilowog's corpse.
Yeah, we see Kilowog.
God, to be kidding me!
Cool. He's just dead. Like he doesn't like talk or anything.
So it was similar, Russ, to like when you saw the flashback scene in the first Justice League when they're explaining like the war and the mother boxes. You saw like the old school Green Lantern like gonna get killed and the ring flies away. So you got like a little bit more of that here. And then here, when they were reviving Superman, Cyborg got the vision. And when he sees Superman in the black suit kind of flying over like the destroyed city, and when it's the camera's panning, you see Kilowog's body, like he's just dead.
Yeah,
there,
it's
like,
cool, man. I love that little shit. And that's the thing with DC owning all these characters. You know, it's like there's no rights issues and
they can just
throw anything in there.
Yeah,
I love it when they throw us those bones, man.
It's
awesome,
all in house. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but they basically again you could see where he was trying to set up future movies in that revival sequence, because like not only does Cyborg get the vision, but after the Flash activates the box and Superman comes to, you hear the ship say the future has now taken root in the present.
Well,
you know,
they set up a lot. They set up a lot of shit with the epilogues and shit.
Yeah,
because they set up the Batman Deathstroke movie that they wanted to do.
Because Manganiello. Russ in there's that post credit scene, but in this one, Lex Luthor just tells. He doesn't say, let's start a League of Our Own, which is like only a reference from that movie with Tom Hanks and Madonna. Right. Yeah. He says, he gives Deathstroke Batman's name. He's like, tells him that Batman's Bruce Wayne, which was in the Batman movie with Ben Affleck, Deathstroke was going to be like the villain.
The main villain, yeah. So now that makes sense. So to me, that's, if there's going to be any negatives here, to me, those are the negatives, right? Because you could have had maybe like a slightly shorter, tighter film, and there's definitely a tighter film here. I think shout out to Brian Brink. He's like saying there's definitely a little bit more of an action-packed, like shorter version of this film. I totally agree. The thing is that since this is supposed to be, I guess, like a last hurrah for Zack Snyder, he gave us everything.
We're throwing it all in there.
that he probably filmed it and some. You know, there's obvious there's cuts that could be made to make this a little shorter, a little bit more coherent. You know, Martian Manhunter, we didn't even bring him really up yet. He had a couple of
that was the other thing I was gonna say when I was talking about.
Oh my god, are you kidding me?
They're
Martian
setting up
Manhunter's in this too?
Yeah, there's
Jesus
Justice League
Christ,
2
dude.
from that scene. You know, that's what they wanted to go to.
Oh my god.
And then all that nightmare stuff is for the Flashpoint movie with Ezra Miller.
Yes. You know what I'm saying? So to me, those are the only negatives. It's like, if we don't get any more continuation of this story of Darkseid, of that like plan, then it's like that is all for naught. You could have just fucking ended it with all of them on the fucking top of the reactor, the nice fucking posing fucking group scene, and you could have just left it at that. You know,
I like the Cyborg's dad's like
the recording at the end where you got to
end. Yeah, I think
they made him a human in this,
but you didn't need the epilogue. You know, or like the Martian Manhunter thing, and then the other nightmare sequence. I like Nick. What did you think about Martian Manhunter? Because like, I thought it was cool. I didn't like that he showed up as Martha Kent in that scene, because I would have liked for that to have just been Martha Kent.
It would have held a lot more emotion throughout the rest of the movie, like especially when she showed up again. You know, when Clark flies to the farm. So I thought that was a weird choice.
Yeah, she said that line, which like really is like worked for me. Was she was like, I see all these people like celebrating him, and like I can't stop and just tell anyone like how proud I am of my boy. You know what I mean? Like that was like, I was like, oh, fuck, that just worked for me. You know, but then it turned out to be. But then I did like that it like he turned back into the Harry Lennox or whatever. I can't remember his name. I don't really remember his name like as an actor. but I like he's like the world needs you too, Lois. It's cool because like them two had like kind of a relationship since Man of Steel. You know, so that's just in like through Batman versus Superman. So like that's just one of those things. It's like it's a bit of payoff for me.
So I
would have liked that to have been Martha Kent, but it kind of worked how it worked.
Exactly. And again, what you just said, and that was another cut from BVS that would have made that scene make a lot more sense to people, because in BVS it was a storyline that was cut between Lois and Swanwick where he was helping her with her story about that bullet. You know what I'm saying? Like she found like
and it was that not in the regular cut? I've like only seen.
like that like where they were kind of like, well, they did have a quick scene where she kind of cornered him in the bathroom, and he was like, "Yo, just drop this."
Okay, I got
but
you.
it was quick. But in the extended edition, they were working a little bit more together, and he gave her a bit
in the
more
extended
info
edition, there's like
into-
2 or 3 scenes with them, and that's the only one
That's
I've seen. I've only
wild,
seen the
dude.
regular one time in theaters, but
Yeah.
okay, so I'm like,
it just establishes their relationship a little bit more. So now when you see that scene in Justice League in this version where it's like, I agree with you completely. To me, it would have had a lot more weight if it would have been Martha for real, because they're both characters that love Clark. So that kind of conversation would have held a lot more weight. But you seeing that it's from that character, it kind of like, you know what? It works for me. It also, they have a relationship. Him and Lois,
someone like who does
also
care about.
It also fits in with like there's a huge theme about the world mourning Superman. In this, so that also gives you Martian Manhunter mourning Superman, trying to comfort his friend who he knows in a form, that would be easier for her to, be emotional
to listen to. Dude, that's a good point that I didn't think about. And even at the end when he talks to Bruce, he's like, I have a stake in this world now, and I think maybe to him that's it. It's like maybe just these kind of like relationships that he's formed along the way, and kind of in the same way that like Batman was kind of reanimated by Superman, like in a negative way. Maybe he's like reanimated by Superman, like in a positive way,
Yeah.
So that does kind of work for me.
In a way, like in hindsight now, it kind of makes me think like, why didn't this dude fucking help out before then? But like, I get it, like, because that theme of Man of Steel was like, like humans can't be fucking trusted. Like Clark's upbringing there, Jonathan was like, to be careful because these people aren't ready for you yet. So maybe that's where the line of reasoning with the Martian Manhunter, like that dude was deep cover and he wasn't trying to blow it, even with the planet at stake with Zod. And then with Doomsday,
and Jose, I kind of see that too. There's a thing like in Star Trek where they're like, what is it?
Prime directive.
The prime directive, like they don't fuck with these native species or whatever. Like maybe it's something like that. Like like you can do it through the abilities of these people. Like he served in the military, so like he didn't do anything that a human couldn't do.
Exactly.
But he's still trying to better the world, maybe in his own way. But then I think maybe he got to a point where he's like, "Well, fuck it, dude. Like,
I have to step in now. Like I can't.
Like there's these people that I care about, and I need to do right by them."
In the original Superman movie in 1977, I believe it came out. I don't remember. One with Christopher Reeves though. There's 78. Okay, 78. There's a scene in it that's really cool though, where he's and he's where his father is kind of teaching him. It's when he becomes Superman, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he like one of the things he tells him is you can't interfere. Mm-hmm. Like they're good people, but they just need to be like led in the right way. But you can't interfere. You're not supposed to stop them from learning the hard way either. Yeah. You gotta like live, and it's kind of wild. I feel like when you do a movie where you have a character like Martian Manhunter who's very powerful, could definitely help out, but maybe his mentality is I need to let them do. They need to learn this, do this.
Yeah, and that's
stand back.
That's a good point, Russ. Because like I get that with these movies is that like how you get characters in their introductions. I think a lot of people who watch these movies are like, oh, I don't like this interpretation of the character because they're like this from point A. But like in all of these movies, these characters don't end up in the same place that they start out in.
There's an evolution.
And they're really changed. So I think you have to have like a little bit of buy-in to just like kind of trust to see maybe where they end up. And I think Batman's a good example. I think even Superman is a good example of that.
Because I mean, in Man of Steel, again, the Superman I know would be very concerned about civilians, and I'm not saying he wasn't, but him and Zod, they were fucking bashing themselves through buildings, and you could just no motherfuckers were catching it.
Hate that shit,
and I didn't see much of Superman trying to get fucking people out of the way of fucking falling debris like that. So I could understand that criticism that people were like, yo, it's fucking crazy or it's dark, but you do kind of through the dialogue and through the context, and again, like after Superman's death, you see how that affects the world. So you maybe just didn't see too much of it, but Superman was that symbol of hope for people. He even said it in BVS, like in the when him and Bruce were having the scene at the banquet, and Bruce was like, he's like, you write a puff piece editorial about an alien that if you want this, we could burn the whole place down.
Yeah.
And Clark said it. He was like, most of the world doesn't share your opinion. Like, so obviously most of the world loved and trusted Superman. We just didn't see it too much. We just kind of got it a little bit of the content, but I mean, he was a hope, but it's an evolution because in Man of Steel, he's just introducing himself. And he's still going by his upbringing where, Jonathan told them, you can't trust these people. You have to watch out. They might not accept you. But obviously, like they did. And that changes Superman through the course of these movies. I just wish we could have seen it more. And then, Sam, you're right. It changes Batman because Batman's thinking like this dude is a fucking alien that could just kill us all. And through the end of BVS, he realizes that Superman was here to help. He was a force.
Yeah. And
his actions.
And say what you and it's like you could exactly. Again, I don't think for Bruce, I don't think he could take himself away from that of not feeling responsible for he didn't kill him, but like he whooped his ass, like it kind of played into Lex's plans. Right. And I think that and by the end of, I think he's just different because even like there's that scene with him and Alfred, which again was like cut from the original one, where he's like, you're letting your like hope or something maybe overcome your reason. And I think is what he says is maybe a different
your guilt.
Like that's right. And he says no, but like for the first time, I'm operating on faith. And that's a character arc that was just completely cut. And because people are like with the original one, like his change, like Batman's change is like completely out of control, like from the Whedon cut. But I think for this, it's just given a little bit of room to breathe.
Yeah.
And like he gets to actually say like, this is how I'm feeling about this and why I'm making these decisions.
That's but it's funny you mentioned Man of Steel because and it sounds like this movie kind of does kind of go back to a lot of stuff that happened there too. I feel like the one problem I had with that movie was the fact that I felt like they kind of made Superman a little too much not worried about people. Let's put it that way. Like if you see,
they try to course correct, and you course correction. I'm gonna explain it perfectly in BVS and in the original Justice League. So in BVS. Literally, you had fucking 3 scenes in the span of 5 minutes that they try to course correct with Man of Steel and the destruction and the people fucking dying. When they were like, hey, when fucking Doomsday appeared in the city and you see fucking CNN or whatever, fucking Anderson Cooper's like, Cooper. It's nighttime. It's fucking nighttime.
Yeah, everybody's gone. Everybody's
gone. The city's fucking empty. And then when they fucking landed on Stryker's Island after fucking,
it's deserted.
He was like, they were like, the army was like, Rikers Island, deserted, uninhabited.
Right.
And then Wonder Woman asks Batman, why do you bring Doomsday to the docks? The docks are uninhabited.
The ports are deserted. Or he's like, they're abandoned. The
ports are abandoned. So they were really trying to drive home. Nobody's getting hurt in these fights now, guys. Nobody's getting hurt.
And I feel like Man of Steel, like you could have had them take Zod up somewhere and they could have had a 3-minute little montage of everyone evacuating the city. You know what I mean? It's
or even just him zipping a couple of people fucking out of
fucking
just to show like he's doing something.
That's what they did in the original, like him grabbing the rubble, and shit like that.
And then in Justice League, you got it. As soon as fucking Superman appears on the scene, he's like, "How can I help?" And Batman's like, "Oh, like buy us some time." He's like, "Oh, wait. Civilians in danger. I gotta go." Like, what I'm saying? Like they were driving that home. Like, hey, people are in trouble. They're helping them. They're saving them.
So, like into Christopher Reeve and Superman 2, he's having it out with the 3 of them in the city, and then he notices what they're fucking doing. They're trying to hurt people intentionally. So he says, "Whoa!" So he takes off, right? And all the people are like, "Superman, you're leaving us." Superman wants to say, "No fucks, I'm trying to save your life." But
you humans are so stupid.
Right,
question mark tactics, ho.
I'm glad that whole aspect was cut from here. Like that whole the Russian family thing.
It's just unnecessary.
They didn't need it. They didn't need it, but
no, they didn't.
But they did a better job overall, though, as far as there was still high stakes. There was violence. There was the world was in peril, but I mean, they just didn't have it seem like people were in danger, like civilians, like right in the line of fire. You just didn't really get that town.
Yeah, I feel like
every battle was already abandoned. It was fucking a radioactive area.
It was like one of these like just
Chernobyl sites,
like numbered cities. Literally, like they had these cities. There was like City 24, and it was like they just built a power plant, forced people to move there and work at it, and then it blew up. It blew up. You know, I did like world. Kind of speaking of Man of Steel when Superman did like come back to the ship. Mm-hmm. And the suits are coming out, and it's interchanging between John Kent and Jor-El. Just like, oh my god, that shit just fucking
that was good.
Oh, that was another Easter egg with those suits. Mm-hmm. Did you see that first one?
It was like a lady one
or something, like kind of.
Yeah, there was like a spacesuit one too. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, there was a spacesuit one because Superman is supposed to use a spacesuit to go into space.
No. Extended periods in space. You saw like it looked like a suit that was similar to what Zod was wearing. You saw
like his original and the Eradicator one. Did you catch that?
I saw that there.
Like, what did that look like? What was that one?
Had like the thing right down the side like this.
Mm-hmm. It's like if you blink, you miss it. You just have to kind of like look and see it, and you could kind of see the different designs.
It wasn't like they made the spacesuit, and then like on the other side, the blue and you
saw the blue and red, the original.
So like in between that, there was another suit that they went through for like a second.
Yeah, you just have to peep it.
Hold on, Superman got like a wardrobe in the fucking ship?
Pretty basic.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool, actually.
It was the same thing when they were reviving him, like, and that whole scene was extended too, because like in the original, it was like they kind of showed up at the ship and they rolled them in and they did what they did. Where here you see they fucking evacuated Star Labs. There was a reason, like why they had everybody get out.
A good thing too, because that's like
there was a lady
moment between Victor and Silas Stone, because Victor Stone's dad had this really kind of tenuous relationship, and then like Silas Stone's like, no, this isn't a evacuation, like this shit's bullshit, and like he goes on the computer, he checks it, and it says that like no, there's no biological agent here, it's safe, and then he's like, yes, he gets on the walkie-talkie, and he's like about to say like there's no threat, everyone can come back, and then he sees all the Justice League walk in, and then he's like, okay, this isn't.
He's like, it's a real murder.
Yeah, he said, no one. Yeah, and he said, no one
in or out
in here until they get my say so. And like, it's just a cool moment. Like they just exchange glances in passing. You know, I think that's like super fucking cool.
Yeah.
And like, it's
cool.
It's an earned moment.
It's an earned moment between them.
Moment.
And then when Barry, they're pushing, Superman's casket through the halls, and you see the ship waking up, and the suits are coming out. They know he's here. They were like, he knows he's here. Like, so I mean, I loved all that stuff.
And that's this is real quick. Like when they are like exchanging those lines of dialogue between like his two dads, basically, like that's just like it's just such a payoff. From if you watch Man of Steel, and that's what I love about this is like it keeps referencing back to its own material, and I fucking love it when movies do that, man. Like when they don't like forget,
Yeah, and a big thing was the restoration of the music too, because it wouldn't have hit the same. Like doing listen, I love Dan Elfman, but when they read the score, it does not fit these movies.
And then like even when they're discussing the mother box, like when they even start to hint we can bring Superman back, like,
and they started playing
the music starts to build.
Like, dude, that scene brought a tear to my eye.
Me too.
Because they were explaining it, and then when they realized,
it's just like clicks.
The music kind of kicked in, and then when Cyborg put the hologram of Superman,
like that's just perfect,
I was like, oh my god, it was
so well done,
beautiful,
so well done.
And the same thing, like it was the same way when they were just rolling through and when they're in the ship and you just hear those Man of Steel tunes, those Man of Steel themes. Like to me, that counts. Like, you know what I'm saying? That scene at the end when Superman shows up and he's kicking ass, it's the Superman theme, like from Man of Steel, and it makes that
Man of Steel
so much harder. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because as much as I love the original Christopher Reeve fucking theme, that's not
but it's like why are we paying homage to that
exactly? It makes
sense.
Right.
But I love
cool though.
It just all felt I love that payoff and that investment in their own material that they've already put out. You know, that's always works for me when they can figure that out.
Well, now in the comic books, right, the black suit was originally like a recovery suit or something, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
was it kind of was it the same way here?
It's just a black suit. This is,
Okay,
I
all
think,
right.
just like 100% fan service.
Yeah.
as far as-
Okay,
which
all right. I
I'm
wasn't
cool
sure
with.
if it's good. It'll be good fan service for me because I like him in black. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
it looks
cool.
You're gonna
Yeah,
say
it's-
something?
It's
Yeah,
like,
I thought they kind of alluded to it being a regeneration suit. You know
I don't-
what?
I don't think they explained it
I
here
didn't-
because look, like to me, it's like in the comic you had the exposition, like like he
Right.
the Eradicator took his body. If nobody knows the
Right.
original Death of Superman, like he appeared to
Yeah.
die, but in the explanation after that they brought him back is that he didn't die. It's just that he expended most of the solar energy that he built up. Like being on Earth all his life to defeat Doomsday, that it put him like in a deep coma. The Eradicator, he said, like when they buried Superman, that was the wrong thing to do because they were like, instead of putting him in a coffin in the dark,
Right.
he needed the rejuvenating rays of the fucking sun. But he needed, but he needed to be taken to the fortress to recover and be put like in a regeneration matrix. In the comics, he was put in that black suit because it helped him absorb the solar energy. Here, when they brought him back with the mother box, he was basically fully restored. He kicked their asses.
Mhm.
He was at full power when he was still
but-
confused. And then the suit to me was just like he just went and he suited up.
But
I don't
didn't
think
they have
that.
that? But didn't they have that line from Jor-El where he was like, "This ship will provide you with what you need"?
Well, in the original, like because
Well,
remember that.
yeah,
ship
but
is fully
even
self-sufficient.
in the original like Snyder version of this, he had the red and blue suit. So this was like they had to like go in through CGI.
I think they
That's
just
like
changed
for
the-
this cut. Yeah.
Yeah. He said
And
supposedly
it's
they
like-
had to convince them, like the executives, like
Yeah.
do the black suit because they're like, why? Like, what would be the point? And,
and I'm
and
sure
to
it's
me,
like-
it's like he must have just told them, like, listen, you're gonna fucking sell another action figure. Look, let's do it.
Right,
you know?
right.
And it's like
Exactly,
a couple clicks of the mouse that they could do.
Yeah.
You know?
It just
And
changed
it's the type of fan service. It's like it doesn't affect the plot or anything. So I
Right,
think
doesn't
I think
hurt
it's-
anything.
It is what it is. It's fine.
It looks cool.
Yeah, I have it on pre-order already. I do. So it's
Yo, highlight EE Prime's comment right there because I thought that was another good point. Like Dust, I think, put it on his Instagram. No, like where was it? The Wonder Woman music. So it's funny.
Yeah,
They had to-
I hate that
Whenever
thing.
Wonder Woman does everything, like it
Not
is
only
true.
that,
Watching it back, I'm like, damn, it is true. Every
It's
time
a
she fucking
lot.
does something, or
lot.
her music kicks in.
It's a lot.
well, they do it for everyone. They do
Yo,
it for
for
everyone,
her,
but
for her.
Wonder Woman's music is annoying as fuck.
Yeah.
hey,
Like the
it-
first when you saw it in Wonder Woman, it was okay. You know,
Right,
it's her
right.
fucking movie.
right.
like-
I got you.
Well, it wasn't even the Wonder
overdone.
Woman theme. Like that wasn't even the Wonder Woman theme. Like the good like like,
Yeah.
it wasn't even that. It was like the
I'm talking about
like, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, I get you. I was talking about in
Anytime.
that first fucking scene with the terrorists and shit, because I was annoyed by her theme there.
They
Oh,
played-
God.
No, Jose,
It was the real Wonder Woman theme, but it was
Yeah,
it's
that's-
that fucking opera.
And oh my God.
And when she cuts off Steppenwolf's head, they do that like for like 0.02 seconds. I'm
And,
like, okay,
dude,
just let her do the thing.
Like the fucking slow motion.
It's the same
The
theme.
slow motion, anytime anybody did anything fast, especially that first Wonder Woman scene, that was fucking that took me
Well,
out.
yeah,
Man.
so it was when it showed her in that terrorist scene, like
There's
Oh,
10
God.
minutes of slow motion in this movie.
I think there's 24. I really think there's 24.
10%.
Yeah, 10% of the movie.
Yeah,
But I think
so funny, dude.
that's what it was. It was 10% of the movie.
Yeah, so
slow
24. Yeah, so 24 minutes. But
Yeah.
when she's in that terrorist scene, it sucks because when she's actually moving like at full speed, it looks awesome, and you can see like, oh, this is a super powered being, you know. But then like that was something that I kind of hoped they would have cut. Nick kicked himself out of his own show again. It's like whenever she was like shooting across the people and like bing bing bing,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
with her
yeah.
bracelets
My
or whatever. I feel like
Sorry.
there could have been a more efficient way. Maybe
Hey.
take out the dude that's shooting the bullets.
Yeah.
Look.
You know, you could have just went straight to him, and that's it. Fucking fuck them
Y'all
up.
need
That's
to y'all need to stop
nitpick,
hating on
you know?
slow motion. It worked for
No,
the $6 million
oh,
man.
I didn't.
Go
I
ahead.
didn't. Hate,
I don't hate it.
I
don't
do.
hate it.
It
I
was
didn't hate it.
distracting as fuck for me.
He did a lot of it, but it's not something I hate. But he did do it a lot. And the Wonder Woman, like after I saw that fucking that meme or the video, because it's true. It's like you see the dude is like,
Yeah, no, you can't get out of your head.
and he's fucking opening the
Like,
fridge, and it's
out of the fridge,
in slow motion, eating up the cereal in slow motion, pouring the milk in slow motion, and it's happening playing. It's
so
hilarious.
funny,
Like,
Dude, I'll say another one. The
Oh,
Connie,
God,
Connie,
this is
who's the lady that plays Wonder Woman's mom?
she's kind of hot. I don't know who she is, but she looks good.
Okay, so like
She's cute, yeah.
when she's standing and talking, she looks great. But anytime she's doing something actiony, you can just tell like this is just the type of person like never played sports, like never moved her body like in an athletic way. Because like she's like it like shows her like riding a horse, and then she's like in the ancient times battle, and like she just looks so like so like wooden and hokey, and like when she's like running out of the place where they kept the mother box, I was like, oh gosh, she looks.
Yeah, it was Connie
it just looks-
Nielsen that played
Connie
Apollo.
Nielsen. That's right. Yeah.
Well,
And, like,
yeah,
she-
but
That was those any scene with her doing action stuff kind of threw me a little bit. Like,
she's supposed to be like this badass warrior, and Sam's like, that bitch ain't picked up a sword in 100 years. Get him out of here.
it's like you know, like there's some actors like that, man. Like you can just tell that they just never did any like. You know, probably didn't do much as kids, you know, except for act, and they're really good at acting. But
It's funny, like you just said that, Russ. Like, yes, picked up a sword in 1,000 years or whatever. Like, it's like there was a sort of like a joke like that. I think between Barry and Victor, and like he said something about Diana. Like, do you think she'll go for a younger guy? And he's like, Barry, she's fucking over 7,000 years old. Everybody's a younger guy.
That's true.
Like, so to
Kinda
me,
true.
that's what I liked with the comedy here. In the Jaws version, he was reshooting shit to be funny. Like where here it was just way more fucking subtle.
Well, dude,
and
another one that worked for me is like when they're
That's
like
funny.
sneaking into the base and like Flash is like wearing this army outfit and he's talking to Aquaman. He's like this kind of this like standoffish, you know, jerk off and whatever. And he's like trying on these different hats. He's like, what do you think? Option A or option B? And like Arthur's like, definitely not A. And then he's like, puts on the second hat and he's like, let me see option A again. It's just like the little stuff, man. Just like work. He's like, it's a stupid fucking thing. But he's like humoring him, you know. And it's
That's
just
funny,
it does a
dude.
lot as far as like kind of their personalities or whatever.
Well, I always thought of the Flash as like the nerd of the Justice League. Kind of like I always felt like he was the nerdy guy in the Justice League always because he was so smart and amazing. And he's like so I could see him being the awkward one a little bit too. You know what I mean? Just and Barry Allen is an awkward guy, so it makes sense. You know. That's funny as shit, dude. Oh my god, I got it. Y'all are making me want to watch this for sure now. I got.
You have to see it at least once, dude.
Oh, dude,
yeah,
you have to see it. Like you said, you didn't see BVS extended. Like to me, I would watch BVS extended and then watch this after. I think like just those two
all on
movies,
HBO Max.
Yeah, when you watch them as a whole, like you'll be like, wow, like I could see the vision. Like I see the vision now. Like you see what they were going for. And to me, that's what pays everything else off. Is that, you know, maybe you didn't get what he was trying to do in BVS. Maybe it was too dark, or people were like, man, I don't like the way they're deconstructing that superhero paradigm here. But to me, it's just storytelling that's on another level. Like you might not like it, it's dark, it's dour, but to me, it's storytelling that's on another level. It's not that cookie cutter, in your face, special effects, a fucking popcorn movie. Like there's a lot to think about when you take BVS extended and now this Zack Snyder version of Justice League.
And I think too, it's like if you can just kind of understand like this world and like how these characters they're fleshed out for this world, right?
Yep.
And it's like if you can just understand that, then I think you do yourself a favor, because it's like any comic book run. It's kind of like that too. You have to understand what the writers are doing and kind of what their intentions are.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think
That's
people
true.
can apply that to comic books, but for some reason, like that doesn't. People pick up the Dark Knight Returns book and appreciate for what it is. It's like kind of like a standalone story in this thing, and you can do that for, maybe Nick, like you could take Batman Year One, and then like maybe Long Halloween and Dark Victory, and kind of put them together as like a kind of cohesive story.
Mm-hmm.
But I think people, for some reason, seem like even maybe unable or unwilling to do that for movies. They kind of think that this needs to just be like this kind of very watered down, let's please everybody interpretations of these characters. And it's like I can watch the Nolan Batman movies. Those are my favorite comic book movies of all time. I can appreciate that Batman. I like Batman in BVS and in the Snyder Cut. And I'm probably gonna like Rob Pattinson's Batman.
Yeah.
None of
appreciate them all for the different versions that they are.
And it's because I don't want to see the same shit over and over again.
Exactly.
See,
I want to
it's the
see
same.
different
There's
interpretations of these characters. Like,
Yeah.
because these characters have been around for so long, there is no definitive version of the character.
Exactly.
no,
Good
exactly.
point.
There's
Good
not.
point.
And
Yep.
Nick, I think people take their first exposure to a character and say that's the definitive version.
Right.
I think
Like,
yeah,
as if
When
it's
it's
a
not.
universal thing. Like people
Nope.
like,
Nope.
89 Batman's a definitive Batman. It might
Nope.
be for you.
For you,
There's
for
several-
at
Right.
that point in your life,
There's several other people on this earth, who are Batman fans.
you got some fuck out there that probably
Yeah.
loving George Clooney. That George Clooney is his Batman. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and good for them, dude. Like, that's
Exactly. You know, like
Heaven forbid, man. Oh my God.
Listen, I always understood from a very early age, before I probably even got into the comic books as a whole. Like, listen, I grew up watching Christopher Reeve Superman. I grew up watching, Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno Incredible Hulk,
Absolutely.
right? And then I get a little older and I read these characters in comic books, and I'm like, man, this is different than what I saw in the movies, and it's a TV show. And I'm like, and then I see 89 Batman, and then I see, those other, like that shitty version of Captain America that we got back in the day. I saw that TV Dolph Lundgren version of the Punisher, and I read those books, and I'm like, this is very different. So at a very young age, I understood that when they took characters and changed the medium from a comic book to a TV show to a movie, there's always going to be changes that took place.
Even
never going to be exactly
even within comic books.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just depending on who was writing
Yeah.
Who's the writing, and that's a great analogy that you brought up, and that's actually kind of the approach that I think DC is taking now with their New Frontier and their multiverse, which I think they're calling the Omniverse now. They're basically saying everything fucking counts. If me as a writer, and if I did a storyline right now for 12 issues where fucking Robin died and Barbara got fucked in the ass and this happened, then the next writer after me could do something completely different with those characters, and it counts, and it all fucking counts, and it doesn't matter what I just did, because that might just be another fucking planet, another universe, another whatever, and now this is what's happening.
Like for me, like with as long as these characters have been around, like I'm fucking cool with it. Cool with it. Because you can take what you want and leave what you don't want.
Exactly.
And it's like with this movie specifically, it seems to animate people in a unique way, whereas I feel like people criticize it and people like it, which is fine either way. But I feel like there's people who really love it, and I really like this movie. Like I like Zack Snyder. I love most of the stuff he's done. Just works for me personally, right? And I know people are like, yeah, it was okay. But then on the other end, I feel like there's only people that hate it. There's not people that were like, it was decent.
That's how I am. I understand that there are good points about it, and I understand there are bad points about it.
Okay.
To me, it's a fair to middling movie.
But Nick, what you've done is you have criticized it on like actual merits of the movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what I've seen a lot of people do is just being like, it sucks.
Not like the comics. It's not like the comics. The characters aren't the same.
Even that could be a valid criticism. But I feel like I've just heard a lot of people just being like, it's awful, it's garbage, it's trash. But like, what do you actually not like about it?
Yeah.
Or why does
Yeah. Could it be
Now-
that people are so poisoned by the original theatrical version of it that they're just so resistant
Poisoned.
to like? I
Their
really I
minds
feel
are
that way.
poisoned.
Well,
They're poisoned.
let's
to
just be
where,
honest.
you know,
That's how fandom is for any property.
I
Yeah.
think you're right. I think you're right. I
And
do.
I think Russ, like that's the thing that if you saw this and expected it to be the exact same movie that we got, then that's your fault for having those expectations. No, I'm
Good
not saying
point.
you. I'm saying
No,
I'm
I
saying
know
the
what you mean.
person.
I
And it's the
completely-
same thing
yeah.
that people say, like, oh, you know, like news media is too biased or whatever. But it's like, well, yeah, we know that, but it's our responsibility to educate ourselves and be
Yourselves and use
responsible.
multiple sources.
Yeah, and be responsible consumers of that media. But it's
Sure.
like I kind of apply that same thing to this. Like, if you
Yep.
didn't like kind of understand what happened with that movie and what happened with this movie, and this isn't what we would have got if Zack Snyder was left in charge in 2017. Like, this is very different from what we would have got there because
Right.
he's had 4 years of hindsight.
Yeah, to be able to
Yeah.
kind of tweak things. I think we would have gotten most of it, but it wouldn't have been exactly this. Not
Yeah,
exactly
yeah.
this.
See,
You know?
this is
So
what pisses. This is why I get pissed off whenever you start when you're making a series of movies that have to have interconnecting story, and you got one director doing this movie, and you got another fucking director for this movie. Star Wars comes to mind. And then all of a sudden, this other director's got to come and fix what this other director fucked up. It's
Yeah.
so aggravating, dude. It's like,
So
Jesus Christ.
that definitely makes sense in regards to Star Wars, because of what they did with the different directors and stuff. But here, I mean,
Yeah.
you could take that original Wonder Woman movie out of the equation. You could take Suicide Squad out. For these films, all you really need to see is Man of Steel, BVS, and this. Like that's its
Right.
own trilogy as a whole. And the
Right.
other movies,
And
Right.
this,
you know, window
this,
dressing.
this to me,
Yeah.
this to me screams of Zack Snyder, and you know he's collaborated with Goyer and Chris Terrio now at this point, but I think like he at least had a loose outline
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
in his mind of where this was going to end up, and the movies speak to that
Yeah.
because we do have these seeds planted early on to get payoffs in this one.
Yeah.
He said that same thing about the stigma, but it's like if you choose to keep that, I think that, like I said, that's on you as a consumer.
That's
Right.
negative.
But
That's
there-
the people. Go ahead.
There is a point to be made that Warner Brothers has not been a good custodian
Absolutely not.
of
They've
these
been terrible.
characters for the movies.
Nope.
I would agree
Look
with
at
that.
Harley Quinn. Look at Green
Mhm.
Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Whedon cut of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And even with that, it's like now like AT&T makes decisions that they kind of have to follow.
Oh.
So it's like
And
So it's like-
AT&T just sold off something. What did they sell off?
I don't know what would
They sold off some media part.
Oh, really?
Yes, and so I'm still telling you, man. I'm still in year 3 of my plan. I'm telling you, Disney buys DC.
Oh, I would love it.
That'll be crazy.
Listen,
I
You and
forget
Nick-
exactly what it was, but fucking AT&T just sold off some media thing.
people
It's
can
actually
say all
find it.
they want that's crazy, but if Disney wants it, they'll find a way to get it. I'm serious. They always that fucking company prints its own money, dude. I'm telling you, they don't give a shit, dude.
That would
I
be
mean,
crazy to me. To think
Dude,
that
they sold
Marvel and DC
DirecTV.
would be under the same
Yeah.
umbrella. Like, wow.
it would be crazy, wouldn't it? I mean, my worst nightmare would be we just get a bunch of crossovers.
Just one whole big shared universe.
Yeah,
Like,
Boom.
just keep it separate, man. You know, but I mean, listen, like just in regards to this film, I mean, I'm just glad that the dude was able to kind of wrap up what he was doing, because with the original, we did not get that payoff basically to that trilogy of films. Like he always said, like this was his story between Man of Steel, BVS, and then Justice League was supposed to be like a 2-parter or maybe even like a 3-part like thing that he didn't really get to do. So to be able to be given an additional budget, to be given the freedom to just be like, hey, you know, the fans demanded it. Like, and again, I thought that was like a fucking pipe dream when
Me too.
hashtag first started, like the Snyder Cut. Like I'm like, these people are just fucking whining. They're fucking whining. That's a pipe dream. But like, wow, we got it, and I'm fucking so glad we did. And now I could kind of look at these movies. It brings BBS up for me.
Yeah,
I love this version of the film, and now I could just feel like, you know what, like fuck, I got the story,
dude.
I got the story they were trying to tell, and
that's exactly where I'm at, because it's like no matter where they go forward, it doesn't matter to me, because I have a tidy beginning to end story. And that's always going to be there, and that's enough.
It's good enough. Yeah. Yep.
So it sounds to me with this cut, that he did here in this movie, it sounds like it's making you enjoy Man of Steel more and Batman versus Superman more.
It brings it up.
Enjoy those movies better now because of this movie.
I always enjoy them, but to me it does make them better because you see the vision as a whole. You see,
that's interesting.
Going, you know what I'm saying? So now you can watch all three and be like, bang, like that's.
I do feel this is the weakest of the three.
Wow. You know what? It's like, I almost feel like that's Man of Steel, even though I love Man of Steel. It's like Sam said, with that film, I don't think at that point in time they were looking at a shared universe thing, and then and then afterwards they were like, "Hey, we might be able to fucking do something here." So, and to me, BVS and Justice League stand a whole lot better together. And Man of Steel, even though it's that first chapter, when you look at it as a whole, you almost don't need that, because the story that they give you in BVS, and you see the beginning of Bruce's perspective of that fight with Superman, that fight of Metropolis. That's all you really needed to kind of get that jumping off point of Bruce's motivations in that movie. You almost don't need to watch Man of Steel, but if you watch Man of Steel, you get the entire concept.
I mean, technically, as a movie, technically, I feel Man of Steel is the strongest.
So you feel why do you feel this one is the weakest? Why do you feel like this one's
the length and editing of it?
So
the effects. I mean,
and so my thing with the effects, I think the effects are about as good as they are in Man of Steel. Which is why it's not like a big criticism for me.
And also the formatting. I hated the 4:3 format.
The 4:3, it's a little jarring to me. I would have much preferred widescreen myself, but
there were scenes because like when it is a very dark movie, so when it's 4:3 and it's a dark movie, it fills the screen out, right? But then as soon as perspective change or lighting changes, it goes straight back to this.
Oh wow!
So it distracts my eyes, and it's hard for me to watch.
I never like paid attention, because I heard about that in like the Dark Knight, like the aspect ratio changes. I don't know what it is. I've never noticed that, like in a movie that I've seen.
You've never picked up on it.
No.
Man.
So to me, like in this 4:3 aspect ratio, it kind of bothers me when I'm watching, now that I'm going back and watching certain parts of the movie, like on a mobile phone or something where the screen is smaller. It's like, it's like I feel like, man, I'm not getting like a full view, but watching it like on the big screen, it doesn't really bother me at all. But now when you watch it next to Man of Steel and BVS, it's different in that regard, just through the aspect ratio. So in that way, it's a little jarring. But not anything that's like a deal breaker for me. And again, the effects overall, it doesn't bother me, because I think they're well done. It was just sort of like the reshoot stuff. And to me, it was mainly Darkseid, just certain parts where you saw Darkseid up close where maybe just the CGI was not as polished as what the rest of the special effects in the movie were. Like, but minor gripe. To me, that's a minor gripe. And
that's where I kind of said, like, it's just like it's on par with. I feel like just generally the DCEU CGI has not been great. So it's not like this was like a deep dive, like they like.
But there was so much more of it that it made it more of an issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, when you have like regularly used CGI villains, and like I think they did pick and choose their spots of like, because like the when Darkseid shows up and he like when Steppenwolf like sheds his armor or whatever, like and it all comes off. I thought that looked like perfect.
I thought it looked
you know
good.
what I mean? But then like there were some other weaker scenes. So I think they probably picked their spots. It's like, well, this scene's it's a tight close up shot. We're gonna nail it, and then the rest of the stuff we can put on the back burner. Like
now, my other major complaint is the pacing of it being cut up into chapters like that.
Dude, I like that. I think it worked for the runtime.
See, I didn't like that.
I almost didn't feel like
think that with the I didn't feel it was necessary. And if they were doing that and they wanted to cut it up into chapters, they should have made it a mini series instead of a movie.
Yeah.
I feel
Nick,
that would have
serviced.
I feel that would have serviced what the vision really is better than this 4.5 one sitting movie. Where if you released it like how Disney's doing theirs by week. I think it would have been stronger, and I think that if you cut out the chaptering of it, which are these artificial stopping points, I think that the movie would have flowed better and been better.
Go ahead,
yeah, I kind of think that those stopping points guys, just real quick, like I think those worked for like story points. So I feel like you could have even kept it as those and released those week to week. I'd have been fine with it. And Nick, like, as long as I've been podcasting with you, like something I've said is like, I don't care how long the show or movie is, take the time you need to tell your story.
Yep.
And I do think that this movie
still feels truncated.
I think this movie used its time to tell the story. Yeah, and it didn't feel like there was much that could have been like it to me. Most of it, 95%. There's a few things I could have seen, but like most of it felt necessary.
Yeah,
as far as moving the story forward.
Right, but I still feel that there was shit that they could have had in here even more, and if they had stretched it out into a mini series, that it would have been more impactful.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
They could have done more in that type of format, but then I'm glad they did it this way. And why? The major reason why is that I feel like if this was sort of split into 4 1-hour episodes or something like that, the impact wouldn't be the same. You know what I'm saying? Like I felt like we needed to get this whole story like in one shot and let you view it like as a whole, whether you could commit the 4 hours or not. But like,
and I think calling it a movie,
that's what made it the event. You know what I'm saying? To give me an hour and then to leave me to wait another week for the next chapter and another week for the next, that's not a fucking movie. That's not an event.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Now you're just
That's a good point.
Stretching it out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I felt like we needed this as a whole. The breakups in the movie itself, like when I kind of watch it as a whole, I feel like you don't even need those type of parts or chapters. But for the devil's advocate of it, like why it's in there is maybe because of the length of the movie. So maybe somebody that couldn't invest 4 hours right away could be like, well, I could watch parts 1 and 2 and then I'll pick this up later. You know what I'm saying? Let me hit pause here.
Even when you look at it like on like your phone or whatever, like it has like the little dots.
The dots, that's the chapter. Skip
so I think that's so. And I'll say like as far as stuff being cut, like this was early on whenever like Aquaman's leaving like that village at the beginning and like those ladies are singing and I was like
it was literally over a minute long. Like that. See, so to me that's where you can make the edits. That's where this didn't need to be 4 hours.
Like I was worried at that point. I was like, oh fuck, like it's gonna be 4 hours.
That's gratuitous.
And I was worried, man. But then
I know we were sweating it, dude, because I know me and you were both looking forward to this. And again, like we didn't know what to expect. This could have been total shit. And again, there's people that feel like this is total shit because they just don't like Snyder's style, the way he does the slow-mo, his cinematography. I just knew we were gonna get consistency, and that's what I was hoping for. And I was like, listen, if it's bad, it at least gotta be consistent with what he was doing, and then I could be like, okay, like
the consistency. And I think even if you're not a fan of Snyder, I do think that he cares about the characters that he deals with.
Yeah.
And I do think he treats them with respect, even if the take isn't the same as what people are used to or what you might like. I do think that he does respect these characters, and that's something that I appreciate. This is
like, to me, this is my least favorite Scott Snyder movie.
Wow.
Zack Snyder.
Fuck.
Yeah, I saw Scott Snyder on
on
Twitter. He's like, everybody's thanking me for the movie, and I'm not correct.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like it on your attention.
I did that on the other show too. I kept doing that. But yeah, this is my least favorite Zack Snyder movie. This is the first one to me where I see those criticisms that people have about his movies usually, and I can agree with them in this.
Yeah.
I think part of it is the freedom that he had.
Nothing was left on the cutting room floor here.
Yeah.
And it just, I think it shows that he needs a strong producer to rein him in.
Yeah. So again, like my feeling is this does not need to be 4 hours, being that it's supposedly his last hurrah, and we might never ever get a continuation of this story, and what he was trying to tell. Then I'm gonna take every fucking minute that they gave us here. But
I get you.
Not every minute was necessary, because again, I'll go back and on the HBO Max on the app, like it gives you the 15-second skip. So that scene, Aquaman, you're out of your mind, Bruce Wayne, and he takes off. I fucking literally hit that 15-second skip 4 times to get past those ladies singing. Like, you know what I'm saying? So to me, that's gratuitous. You don't need that. And
that is Zack Snyder.
That's him. That's him. I mean? Exactly. So that is shit like that. That's where he needs to be reined in. But seeing, like I said, overall, I'll take every single minute of it, because we're probably not going to get another minute now after this. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'll take it. But you could have cut that entire epilogue. Like, I liked the fact that Victor put back the tape recorder together, and you got that final message.
Too. I feel like
you got the epilogue.
Dude, that is a gigantic power up for Cyborg.
Yo, that's awesome. That's a fucking. They basically said,
dude,
with
that's some Silver Surfer power cosmic rearrange matter shit.
Yeah, they said he could
that
repair
phone
the
was
Kryptonian ship with those fucking powers. Like if he wanted to, he could repair Superman's ship like to like full like capabilities.
I think the extra nightmare scene was completely like, you don't need that.
It's gratuitous. You don't need it.
I thought it was cool to see.
Yeah.
I do think so. It sounds to me like some of what he was doing was also just to kind of give people something he thought they might want to see. That's what it sounds like. I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of times when you do a movie like that, or all movies like that, usually you have shit you can cut out of them.
Yeah.
But sometimes there's shit in, and I don't know.
There's obvious cuts here, because you could see Joss did some of it with his version. Like a lot of the action sequences and a lot of those big major set pieces that were in the original version were here too. They were just chopped down and edited in a way which almost made the scenes completely different. But essentially, they were there, and you could see like how Joss shortened them in a way to fall within a 2-hour runtime, which is what the WB executives want. And here,
which is ridiculous.
In this version, you could see the extra shit that wasn't cut out, where now these scenes have room to breathe and are fleshed out in a way where they just make a whole lot more sense. But do you need every single minute of that?
What the characters
don't.
No.
You don't need every single minute of it. But you got it. They were just gratuitous with it. But like I agree with Nick. I mean, I feel like this could be cut down to a solid fucking 3 hours, 3 hours and 10 minutes, and you're telling the exact same story.
Yeah.
The exact same. Like,
because I think even the last, like, because what's that? The last nightmare scene's probably like 5-6 minutes. Like that can just go. The Martian Manhunter scene at the end, like that can just go.
That's 20 minutes, 25 minutes that you could just slice off right there. That Martha and Lois scene was about 5 or 6 minutes that you could just fucking chop
that. Cut out that one part where she turns into the dude. But then it's like the shit where Aquaman like where he like saves that dude and then he throws him on the table in the bar and then it plays like that fucking Nick Cave song. Like I love that. You know what I mean?
I love it, but do you need it? That could also go. You know,
that's another thing. Like maybe you don't need it. You probably don't need it. Let me be real with myself, but like I fucking loved it. You know what I mean? Because like it just worked for me. You know, and I think it's like the song, like just kind of captured a mood that I think worked with that. And I think Zack Snyder's good at that.
Yeah. So there's little things like that, like the scene, where you see, Lois in the coffee shop and she gets the coffee, and then she comes out of the coffee shop and she's walking down the street and then walks to the cop. That's stuff that just could be
the whole Wally and Iris shit
in a sort of way that just
God damn, see?
Yeah, that's a tougher one, Nick, because I liked how that. I like that as a character introduction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but it's like maybe you could shorten it up.
Yeah, it could be shortened.
But then you already have the introduction of him with his father.
Dude,
so
this
redundant.
Worked. I feel like it worked better.
Then cut out the first scene with his father.
No, you can't do that. You can't
do that either, because again,
you can't cut out Billy Crudup.
Those were my favorite. Yeah, to me, those were the character moments that made this movie work. Like the stuff with Cyborg and his dad, the Barry stuff with his father makes that final scene when he's turning back time makes so much. It hits so much more because he's like, Dad, I just want you to know.
Yeah, like I might die right now.
One of the best. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if that wouldn't hit, those lines wouldn't hit at the end. If you
I think Jose, if you were to, if I had to choose between cutting that scene with him and his dad, or him and Iris, or cutting some action sequence, cut the action sequence.
Yep.
Because this makes them in the action sequence matter more.
Yep, exactly.
So that's why I go back with the runtime. Yeah, it's long as fuck, but I do think if it's necessary, I'm not bothered by it.
Exactly.
There's some shit that was unnecessary, but I think that those character moments, they gotta stay.
And listen, I think it's the same criticism that I think The Watchmen got back in the day. Like, The Watchmen is a long movie. Mm-hmm. Some people that might not get it, they'll be shuffling in their chair and like, what the fuck? But you know what? You need every second of that fucking movie, because to try to tell that story in the runtime that he had, it almost wasn't enough. Like, you needed more. And to me, what he pulled off with that was incredible. And to me, this is like more the same.
I'll watch that movie anytime. Like, I like that movie a lot, especially the longer cut.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. So I mean, listen, again, the runtime, it was gratuitous. Definitely didn't have to be that, but I'll take it. And who knows what this might lead to. Like, right now, we're being told this is it and we're done. And if that's it, then I'm extremely happy, and I could be happy with what we got. And if we get more, then this movie will probably even go up to me, because now it will make that epilogue and all that extra shit that maybe we don't need right now. But if they do continue, we're gonna be glad we got it.
I think that what you're saying is true, because I think this movie is in a weird place where that, like, your enjoyment of it right now kind of comes along with your investment in the movies that came before.
Yep. Right.
And then, like, looking forward at this movie, it's also going to be dependent on if anything comes after.
Yep.
Well, technically, Aquaman is after it, right? So I mean, that's
right, but
that's after it.
But like with the seeds,
it's not
the seeds that they set, because
that they set here exactly.
Right, because like we were talking about earlier, like the Affleck Manganiello Batman movie, Justice League 2 with Martian Manhunter being added to the cast, and then Flashpoint with the Flash having to do with that nightmare shit.
Yeah, it would have been.
Aquaman is the only character that got his own solo movie post Justice League, post like this time period. Wonder Woman 84 is in the past, like, what I'm saying, so it doesn't really count. Shazam wasn't involved in these events, doesn't really count. Anything that fucking Harley is doing doesn't really fucking count. So
from what I heard about that Wonder Woman movie, people wish it was in the past.
Listen, I haven't watched it yet. Like, I've heard.
I haven't either.
I need to watch it. I need to watch it and be like, okay, these motherfuckers.
I got like 10 minutes in and quit.
I couldn't. I haven't seen it.
I was like, "There's not enough dope in the world to make this good."
But just the fact that
that was just 10 minutes in.
It takes place in the past. So post Justice League, post these events,
right?
All we got, and that was a very just self-contained story about.
It was.
and his
Yeah, 'cause-
coming of age and becoming the king that he's supposed to
Right.
be. He could very easily continue on, and whatever they did in Aquaman doesn't look like it would affect anything that they had planned, like with these films. Like
Yeah.
they could just continue forward, you know. So
Yeah.
we'll see, man. Like hopefully, I think, you know, this is just now, I think 2 full weeks now, maybe that the movie's out, or just over a full week. That first weekend on Twitter, fucking it was dominating the conversation. Falcon and Winter Soldier dropped the day after, another major release from Marvel, and Zack Snyder's Justice League dominated the conversation. I'm not trying to make it like a DC versus,
Right.
but it's just to say that a lot of people, a lot of the fans in general, are very happy with this cut. And although right now there are no plans to move forward, if this catches enough momentum and if the fan reaction continues the way it's been, who knows? Who knows what the studio might decide to do in the future? So, you know, now you had, you know, released the Snyder Cut, and now the new fucking campaign
Restore the Snyderverse.
Snyderverse, you know, which
Right.
is
Dude, I'll say because EE said something about the rewatch. Like I still haven't watched any of Falcon Winter Soldier.
I haven't either. I haven't seen
that
any
first
of it either.
episode is dope. I'm telling
I watched like 20 minutes of the first episode,
good.
and I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm like, this week's just been crazy for me.
Yeah,
Like, so like any minute I've had to like sit in front of the TV, I just put this on and watch it. It's like because I don't know, I'm bad about that. Like I'm bad about that with content because I'll just like I'd rather watch something I know I like 100 times than risk something new.
Now tomorrow, like after midnight tonight, we're gonna get fucking King Kong, right?
No, it's the
last
31st.
Wednesday.
Oh, 31st?
Yeah.
Okay.
And dude, in
So we
this
got
house,
that
that's
coming up.
on the calendar, man. Me and
Oh,
the
King
boys
Kong
are-
Godzilla.
I gotta watch
Yeah.
the Godzilla. I haven't watched that one, the
Yeah.
King of Monsters or whatever. I gotta
Good.
watch
Oh,
Good.
dude, it's
Yeah.
good. It's
Good.
good, man.
All
It's bad, but it's good.
I want to watch.
It's so bad, it's good. It's one of those.
It's hokey, but it's good, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, come on, they're all hokey, right? I mean, they're all monsters.
want-
Yeah,
I mean,
it's really
I
hokey.
have to
It's
watch
good. It's
Skull
really good.
Island, like in order to like. I mean, should I watch Skull Island before like watching that, or like before?
Yeah,
that's
watch-
what I was told.
Watch
That's what I was
Skull
told.
Island, Godzilla, and then
Yeah.
King of Monsters.
Was it
Okay.
Jason, all the guy? Everyone's been telling me
Jason's
that to watch.
the man on this.
Yeah, he was telling me to do that shit.
Me too.
Yeah. That's I think
But,
he's the one that told me that shit too.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm
Can't
gonna.
wait for that, man.
I like King Kong. I've always been a big fan. of
Hey,
King Kong,
Night of
so
Ren
I
showed
wanna
up. What's up, brother?
What's up,
Watch that shit. So, Night of Ren. That's a cool motherfucker right there. Go ahead, man.
Mhm, that's a good
All
dude.
right.
Good dude.
Bad motherfucker, dude. Nah,
Yeah.
we got a lot of good stuff to look forward to, man.
A lot of
Good
stuff.
content coming out, so shit.
Mm-hmm.
I like Skull Island the best out of all the three.
Did
we've
you?
done.
Yeah,
so
I want to
far.
watch it. I gotta see it.
I've only seen it like in like clips. I haven't watched it like straight through. So I'm like, I just gotta watch this. I'm like, I gotta watch this from beginning to end. Like whenever I've caught it, it's like it's always in the same fucking part, like
Yeah.
about like a third of the way through the movie. And I'm like, okay, whatever. But I'll be
Yeah.
back. I like the 20. I don't know if it was 2013 or 2014 Godzilla. Like I dug it. Like I like
Yeah.
it.
It's good.
You know, so I thought that was a nice sort of like reboot, and I was like, if they make more of these, cool. And again, I just didn't get the chance to watch King of the Monsters, and I was just wondering if it continued like off that, like you know.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah, it does, dude. It does.
All right,
It's-
so-
they're all good.
So I dug it. What I loved in that original Godzilla, like you know, that silver, those fucking things that he was fighting. I just loved that shit when he grabbed it by the mouth and just fucking the atomic
Mhm.
throat. That was crazy.
So good.
Yeah,
You know, so I'm looking
That's
forward.
gratuitous.
definitely, but awesome though.
Awesome.
Yeah,
And I love those
Yeah.
things Kong fights.
The skull, dude.
Yeah.
This kid, he's like wanting me to buy him all this shit, and all this shit came out like in 2017. So I'm having to track down all these fucking toys on eBay, and shit, dude. It's driving me crazy.
Double the money.
So that wasn't
Yeah.
wasn't the Brachiosaurus that he needed.
No, he's looking for that Spinosaurus, man. I can't find it. I'm gonna have to just pay a lot for
all
it.
I can
but-
find right now is the Indominus
Yeah, he's got that.
T-Rex and
Got that.
the big brachio, man. That's
yeah,
pretty
he's
cool.
got that too. It is good, dude. It's cool. They make good toys, man.
Mm.
Yeah, Ren brings up a good point too. He says, "I like the King Kong movie with Jack Black in it. That fucking Peter Jackson King Kong wasn't bad."
Yeah, I saw
it
that in theaters and never. So the 1933 or whatever King Kong movie. I watched that shit every day as a kid. Like I would watch it and then I'd rewind it and watch it again. And I only saw that Jack Black one time, and it's like basically like the same movie, right?
No, it's way different, man. It's like 3.5 hours or some shit like that.
I just remember it being long.
But the 76 version was really good too, with Jeff Bridges, and I forget the blonde that they had playing her. That was good. You want some nightmare fuel ever? Look up what the fucking. I'll do it right now. What the King Kong puppet looks like now.
Oh, I think I've seen some of that, like with the props all fucking broken down. Yeah, it looks fucked up. Like you know, like a decaying body and shit. You know, like in the ground. It's all fucked up. Just falling apart. He said nightmare fuel.
It is, man. I can't find it.
So overall, like, where would you guys put like this? I mean, Russ didn't see it, so hopefully, like, Russ, definitely invest the time and give it a chance.
Well, we're gonna, I'm actually gonna finally get HBO Max because I gotta. For one thing, they've got everything DC now, pretty much. So I got to get in on that. So
yeah, dude, they moved all the DC universe content, which again, like I subscribe, but I didn't really go into the app a lot. And then when I went in, all I'm seeing is like comics. I'm like, yo, where is all the fucking TV shows and movies? And then and I found out, I was like, it all moves to Max. I'm like, oh fuck, so I guess I got to subscribe to that now if I want to watch it.
Yeah, they've got a lot of good shit coming out for that on that too. So I'm in on it. I'm gonna get it.
I got that deal. I jumped on the deal where it was like 6 months for like 20% off. So I'm like, all right, and not only this movie, but because of all the other blockbusters that are coming out.
Yo, check this shit out.
Look at this.
What is that?
That's the original King Kong fucking prop. What it looks like now.
Oh. That's terrible.
See, like I had seen it before when it still had fur on it too. Look at this.
200K. Wow, man.
I used to love the ride at Universal Studios in Florida because they try to like recreate the New York, like the old school New York.
Right.
And I'm like, this looks nothing like the fucking city, but
this is stupid.
Like just the giant Kong and the way it was like they did the effects to make it look like he was grabbing the fucking train and shaking it and all that shit.
He might, Ren. Ren says, doesn't Peter Jackson own the armature? Probably.
Well, no, he does. He's like a huge King Kong fan. Yeah. Like that's like why he wanted to do that movie since like 2000. Like I think it was like the late 90s. He was like trying to do that King Kong movie. It's funny, man.
Finally got it done. So Justice League, like what's the number score you would put on it? At least this version, you know what I'm saying? If you're gonna put a number on it.
What I did was I gave it a comic book movie rating and a regular movie rating.
That's good. Yeah,
so like as a comic book movie, looking at like everything else we've gotten, it's about a 7.
Okay.
For a comic book movie. Okay. For a regular movie, it's about a 4.5.
So so close to average for a regular movie, but like a little slightly above average for a comic book movie.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, I don't have those separate scores. I didn't think that much about it, but I give it like an 8.5. Like I fucking love it.
Yeah.
It's just a mix of things that I already liked beforehand, and then like kind of they took that and then stepped it up a little bit, and I'm super happy with. What about you, Jose?
Yeah, I gave it a 9 on VC when we were all discussing it, and to me, it's like, it's not that typical superhero storytelling. Like I feel like these movies are done like on another level, like, and I love the Marvel stuff. I love all of it. But these movies tell like very different stories. I just feel like they have a lot more weight to them, a lot more consequences, you know. So in those regards, to me, it just feels like a lot more like epic in a way, you know what I'm saying? So 9 out of 10 for me, like on this one.
Okay, now Jose, you give it a 9 out of 10. Now, what would you have rated what do you rate the original cut?
The original, I think I probably gave that like a 6 or a 6.5.
Okay.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Because you
So
know what? I didn't think like that Jaws version at the time was the most terrible, but I'm like I just knew.
Yeah,
that I was like, that wasn't the movie we were supposed to get. Like, you know,
Right.
Yeah.
definitely wasn't.
That Joss Whedon movie is schizophrenic.
You know, like,
Dude, Nick, that's funny because it's like there
Mm-hmm.
2 times in my life I have been just taken out of movies and been like, this is shit, this is ridiculous, and I want my money back. And they both happened within the last 3 years, and that movie.
that was one of them.
God,
I was just like,
damn.
oh my god, like I don't even want to watch it.
You
Like, I was
imagine-
like on
this-
my phone, and
Just imagine Sam going to the manager of the movie theater. Y'all want my fucking money back? This movie
well,
sucks.
it's like even even like Transformers movies. Like I went there and I was like, I know what I'm about to watch. And
Well,
you know,
dude, as soon as Optimus Prime smacked around Grimlock and rode him like a fucking toy pony, I was out.
Oh, come on.
I was like,
hey, hold
you
on, that's Prime,
motherfuckers.
dude. Prime beat that
I only saw the
ass.
first 3 out of them.
Brent
Yeah,
wants to know what the other movie was, Sam.
that you just
Episode
like.
9.
Huh?
Episode 9.
Oh, okay.
Oh God, really? You hated on that much, huh? Wow.
I did.
Okay.
It wasn't for me, man. I'm glad people
Yeah.
like it, but it wasn't for me.
But you think Rogue One's a good movie, huh?
It is.
Rogue
It is.
One's-
It is.
Okay. Okay.
I think me and Sam need to do another one-on-one episode and just go off about episode 9.
Dude, I know.
So funny.
Dude, you know, we can talk about that another time. Like, let's keep us here for another 2 hours.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh shit.
All right, so do you guys want to do a hangout or we want to go to bed after this?
Oh, what do you guys? What do you want to do? I got time.
What do you
All
want
right, I can throw a hangout for a little bit
Yeah,
after
I can
this.
chill for a little bit. I got a little bit.
All right, guys. So this has
We-
been the Masterpiece Shit Piece episode of Shit Talking, episode 2, the Snyder Cut. All right, so why don't we go ahead and do outros? Jose, go ahead and tell them where you're at.
Tarek and BX all over social media, guys. You can find me there. Check out Into the Realm and Break the Mold on the Realm of Collectors YouTube channel. And as I said earlier, Verbally Challenge on all audio platforms. Thanks for having me tonight, guys.
Thank you for being here, brother.
Yes, sir.
Sam.
Yo, Insta Sam89 on Instagram. Sam Meet in the groups. Jose, Russ, thank you guys. Nick, thank you.
Thank you.
This has been a
Awesome,
good time.
dude. I had a
Thank
good
you.
time, man.
Russell.
Yeah, man. Yeah, thank you guys again for inviting me on this. You guys are actually making me want to watch this movie now, so I'm kind of happy I came on it because I really wasn't sure. Like, I wanted to see it, but I kind of wanted to see it like I want to watch a train wreck. But now it sounds like it might be actually good, so I want to kind of watch it now.
We'll start a watch party right now
Yo.
in the hangout and shit. We'll all stay up till
Wait.
about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Jesus Christ. I'm not sure all about that.
Yeah, it would be half the night, wouldn't it? Shit. Okay.
But like for real, I'm probably one of the people that's the most down on it. You know, so
No,
like
I understand. I mean, but
you have Jose's opinion, you got Sam's opinion, and then you got mine that's a little bit opposite, but we still all agree that there are good parts of it. So there is some worth to watching it at least once.
right.
Yep.
It's not like you killed it, Nick. You didn't kill the movie. You just said
No.
there's things that you
And
think
even-
that
His criticisms
Even-
are totally valid. Like it's
Right.
it's shit that you can see. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But for me personally, because as of right now, we're probably not going to get nothing else. It's not like a complaint for me. It's nothing
Right.
that will bring
I
them.
got you.
But the criticisms are definitely very valid.
Yeah, and it's like I always say, like you discuss it on its merits.
Mm.
And
Right.
you can't do anything better than that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm your host, Nick Brammer, Masterpiece Shit Piece. Might be some stuff coming up soon on the YouTube channel. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Love y'all. Peace, love, and
Later,
hair.
guys.
We're out.